you'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
That original music that opened the TV5 wrestling show for so many years. In addition, that music, that was the bumper music for Championship Wrestling as we went to break. It gives me chills all over my body. Hey everybody, it is currently, after a beautiful day, it is now 67 degrees and cloudy. It was sunny and beautiful here. Richard Hood is in the house, and we appreciate it very much, Richard, for being here today. PJ from Thailand in the house. Appreciate that so much. Thomas is here. Greg is here. All kinds of people's here. And we have a special guest here. Michael St. John is doing a sales call, business meeting, not here. Chris Ellis with the wife and Pat Trammell will be here. If he will be here at all, will be hour late. Hopefully, if he can get away from his wife. Hey, beautiful day. Before we're going to bring in somebody I called in at the last minute because I didn't get word to the last minute. The show was falling apart. So I called Alabama. You know, his home is in Alabama. Drinking is forbidden in the Southern Christian home, but stars are made in Alabama. We'll talk about doctors are made too, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well, because when I knew I was in a jam, when I knew I had a loaded show talking about great stuff, I knew that. But I knew I didn't want to go in a single match. I didn't want to go solo. I needed to reach up, selling, make the hot tag all the way from Alabama. And once again, our friend that we met right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling, he's been a frequent guest on the Randy Hill Show, and I have to do a Randy Hill Show again. We want to travel Memphis originally, then New Orleans, Louisiana, and now in Alabama. In case he's running from somebody, I won't say where in Alabama, but I don't think he is. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Dr. William Robinson. Hey, Rusty, what's going on with you?
Hey, Randy, I don't know if I can live up to all that, but yes, I am in Alabama, in Orange Beach, actually, right on the Gulf of Mexico. And it is a great day here. It was about 75, still in the 70s, bright sunshine, just a little bit of a breeze off the Gulf of Mexico, so you can smell the salt water. So just gorgeous.
Couldn't do it any better. Another person that just came in the house is my buddy, my brother from another mother, from another father, Randy West, the greatest wrestling video guy, camera person I have ever seen in my life. Hey, William, before we get into what we're going to talk about, great video, a great subject, all that stuff. Anything new going on in your life?
I planted my garden today. We've got tomatoes and peppers and cucumber and basil just started. So, yeah, that was fun. A fair amount of work, but it was fun.
Hey, before we get into this, I want Adam to put up your graphic on your podcast and update how the podcast is going and talk about the show that's coming up because I really enjoyed the music. Enjoyed also when you put your doctor hat on, talk about the current podcast out on YouTube at the Blues Doctor podcast that I want everybody to subscribe to, and also talk about the one that's supposed to be uploaded tonight at midnight. Smarten us up.
Sure. Thanks, Randy. So, yeah, our last podcast, our last episode was supposed to go up at midnight last Tuesday, but something happened at YouTube. They kept telling me they're having a problem processing, and it didn't actually go up until midnight Thursday. So it took them however long for some reason, and they never explained it, of course. But anyway, this coming week's podcast, we just loaded up, early this morning. So it's supposed to come out at midnight tonight, and I talked some more about genetic testing for cancer. I had a series going on about that, so this will be another
Very
episode of that.
interesting. Very
Good.
interesting. I didn't have a clue, of course, but everybody don't just think this is a medical thing. William
Mm.
explains it in lay terms where a dumb Arkansas boy like me can understand it. A dumb wrestling guy like me can understand. It's fascinating talking about that testing. Very fascinating.
Well, thank you. That's the idea. I was trying to pitch it to people who did not necessarily have a medical background. So that's the aim we're going. So we talk about that for actually even more this week than we did last week. Then on top of that, you'll see some new music, some of mine, which will be kind of interesting. You'll see me playing live. We tell some Bigfoot stories. I actually know Bigfoot this week. I think we tell a Loch Ness Monster story this week, and a variety of other things out there.
Richard Hood, and you just answered that question. Richard Hood, one of our regulars here on Talking Memphis Wrestling, says, William, do you have any more Bigfoot stories? And I'm sure he'll sneak some in from time to time on this show. But that podcast, you'll get plenty of that. So talk about that for people that likes that sort of thing, and I'm interested in it as well.
Well, I actually had a Bigfoot encounter many years ago, actually in Arkansas, in Crittenden County, right across the Mississippi River from Memphis. So just below West Memphis in what was called Blue Lake, Arkansas. Any rate, so I was fishing one afternoon with a buddy of mine. I was working as a lifeguard at this lake at the time, and I was in college. This was the summer of 1980. And my buddy and I, who were working there, went out in the evening after the swimmers all came in, would go fishing almost every day. And so we were out in a boat, um, slowly trolling down the lake, maybe 10, 15 yards offshore. And we heard some rustling in the bush, and we looked up, and there was a creature, for want of a better word, that looked something like a giant gorilla, but he was standing upright. We could see him from about, chest up because the brush was so thick. And he looked at us, we looked at him for maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds or so, and he turned around and ran away. We could hear him running away into the bush, so we lost sight of him very fast. Didn't hear anything else, didn't see anything else from then on. And I kind of put it aside because we didn't know what to tell anybody at the time. There was no internet, nothing like that in 1980. So, and I went straight from college to medical school and then residency and then fellowship. So it just kind of, it was out of mind, put it that way. And then just maybe 6, 7 years ago, I was running through the internet and I found several sites about Bigfoot. I thought, well, maybe I'll share my story here. And I did. I put it on the Bigfoot Research Organization, or BFRO website, and posted my story. And people started calling me, to ask me about it and ask me other things about Bigfoot. And it's just sort of developed from there. I've been on several Bigfoot hunts or campouts into likely areas, which is a lot of fun. Met a lot of new people, and I've been on a few Bigfoot podcasts, kind of like this one. Um, so it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed telling the story. Um, even not even on Bigfoot podcasts, even on here. So there's my personal story.
That is cool. That is fantastic. Hey, I want to get into some sad news real quick, if we could. There were a couple of deaths this past weekend that related to the wrestling business. The first one I'm going to go with is Janice Carter. Janice Carter, obviously the mother of the president of TNA, Janice Carter, and her husband owned Panda Energy, and she was the CEO, Mrs. Janice Carter was. That you see president of TNA, Dixie Carter, in that picture as well. So that's always sad, and I didn't see age for that, but a beautiful, both ladies, very beautiful ladies. So rest in peace. And I would imagine certainly that's right. The glory days of TNA. Hey, it started in like 2002 or three, something like that, maybe even four. Did you watch much TNA wrestling there, or
I
were you
did.
busy? Oh, did you?
I did. I kind of quit watching wrestling after the old WCW went out of business, which
Right.
was 2001. And then I just stumbled upon TNA in 2005, maybe when Sting came back, when they signed Sting. I heard
Yeah.
about that. So I started watching them, started watching who else? Kurt Angle. They
Yeah.
signed shortly after that. And it was pretty interesting then. That's when Jeff Jarrett was running it and,
Yes.
organizing all the stories and the wrestlers and so forth. So I thought it was pretty interesting then. Dixie, interestingly, like you said, was from the Carter family, which is very well known. The family is very well known in Texas. We actually were living in Texas for a while during Katrina time in New Orleans. We had to leave New Orleans. Anyway, so we were in Texas, and everybody seemed to know the Carter family. Dixie grew up uh, in the public eye to some degree. She went to the Hockaday School in Dallas, went on from there to Vanderbilt, stayed in Nashville after that, and just by chance almost hooked up with Jeff Jarrett and TNA, and eventually ended up basically buying them out um,
Yes.
because she had such deep pockets, and the Jarretts really didn't at that time. So she became the owner. And you can argue about how she did with it or what she did with it, whether it was good or bad. But she kept it going,
Right.
if nothing else.
Jerry and Jeff, after they lost their initial sponsor, Health South, because the dude got felony charges thrown against him, the guy in charge of Health South, and so they were about to lose everything they had. It's just fate about everything in life, people. You never know. Jeff had just happened to, when he got his business started, popped into a PR firm, needed a PR firm for TNA, and he walked in to a company, and the head of the company was Dixie Carter, because she was living in Nashville. And then he went to her and said, "We're about to go out of business." And she said, "I may know somebody." And he didn't have any idea that her dad was a billionaire. It's remarkable how life works out like that, right, Rusty?
Oh yeah, that was her job out of college. Was
Yeah.
when she finished at Vanderbilt, she stayed in Nashville and created this PR firm. I think actually her dad created it for her, but she stayed in Nashville and just by chance, hooked up with Jeff Jarrett, just like you said. I think she's still in Nashville. I haven't heard anything,
Yeah, I think she is
about her.
too. Yeah, yeah, she is. It's just a fantastic. So, on behalf of Talking Memphis Wrestling, William, myself, Randy West, Richard, Jeremy, everybody watching, appreciate everybody. Shane Odom, everybody watching today. I want to talk about another death right now. We talk about the legendary Lance Russell. We talk about the great Dave Brown, who's still at 78 years old doing great. We talk about the late Corey Macklin. We talk about Memphis wrestling. Another legendary wrestling announcer along the lines of Lance Russell and Dave Brown, along the lines of Gordon Soley, Bill Mercer. Bill Mercer was born in 1926 and passed away March the 22nd at 1999. The interesting story offline in our production meeting, I was telling you a couple of things that's really interesting. Not only was he the voice of world class championship wrestling in the heyday of that company in the 80s with the Von Erichs and the Freebirds feud, he's also a tremendous broadcaster. A tremendous broadcaster. And Rusty, one of the things, and that's the older Bill Mercer as he passed away the other day at 99 years old. So he's had a wonderful life, and I'm glad Adam has both of us up here, because one of the things I told you in that pre-production meeting, when you say November is 63, I did this. We'll pretend like I didn't say that before, because now we have an audience. When you think of November 1963, what do you think about, Rusty?
The John Kennedy assassination. No doubt. It occupied everybody. I can remember it vaguely. I was, I guess, 5 years old. I can
I was
remember
2.
that. Yeah, that was all that was on TV. You couldn't get anything else for like several days. So that's really about all I remember of it live. But
And
it's a
we'll talk
fascinating
about
thing.
we'll talk about the thing, and here's the deal. Harvey Oswald, whatever the heck his full name, Lee Harvey Oswald, I believe, is the thing. He's the person. I'm sure there's conspiracy theories, and I don't listen to that. I really don't. And Bill Mercer was the newsman with a group of people, and Bill Mercer said, "Hey, pal, you're about to get arrested for and charged with murder for the death of our president." Oh, daggum thing. He cut a wrestling promo on him, basically. I mean, how more credible? That's
Amazing.
Walter
Yeah.
Cronkite, Dan Rather type of stuff. But a wrestling guy in the future was the one that did that, and to me, that's fascinating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hard to imagine now somebody interviewing Lee Harvey Oswald at that point. Just amazing. I'm sure Bill was very struck by it.
Oh, I'm sure he's a nervous wreck, for sure, a nervous wreck. The other thing, for those of you that's football fans, and I'm not a hardcore, and I know some history, but if you keep up with it, I think most people know a very famous game in Green Bay took place in 1967. And in 1967, it was called the Ice Bowl. It's one of the, if not the most famous football games ever played. It was the
Maybe.
Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay in the Ice Bowl. Ice Bowl. At the time, the head play-by-play guy for Dallas radio was Bill Mercer. So
Hmm.
not only did Bill Mercer do the play-by-play when Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy turned on Kerry Von Erich in a match with Ric Flair, he also called the Ice Bowl, and I got the best daggum producer in the history of the world. I know Mrs. Robinson does a great job on your show, fantastic, but Adam Nunn does a great job on mine. And he doesn't know what's going on in this show till I start talking. So that's how quick he got this together.
Wow.
That is absolutely fantastic. So, Adam, if you can find any big shot of the what the field looked like during the Ice Bowl, that would be pretty good. The great Green Bay.
Oh, I remember that. It
Yeah.
was so cold that the field was frozen and it was snowing. So it became really slick and really hard. So if you fell on it, it was like falling on concrete. And they could barely, neither team could barely get moving. Green Bay ended up winning it. It was, I think at the time, it was the most watched game on TV for the NFL at the time.
Unbelievable. Look at that, William. I
Oh,
told you
yeah.
Adam was good. Now, is that not amazing?
Mm, hard to believe.
How would you
It's
like
amazing Bill Mercer was in on so many major events, of the last 50 years.
and for him to live 99 years old, I'm 63, you're around 65, that's what, 30 years?
Oh, yeah.
35 years?
You said Bill was 99, I think, when he died.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was 2
Un-
years younger than my father, who died a number of years ago. So he lived through a number of major world events.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, I hope you like this BS from Rusty and Randy, because we're having a heck of a time talking about a lot of stuff. And this is going to be a little weird way to get into what I want to bring up and we're going to talk about and show video. I talked about this last week. Hello, my good buddy Bo James, the King of Kingsport, Tennessee. What's going on, Bo? Me and Rusty says hello as we enjoy, Bo, you watching this show. Now, we talked about this last week because think about your life. I want our audience to think about their life, and I want you to think about your life, and we'll let you comment on this too. But things in our life that was a big part of our life, all of a sudden no longer is there anymore. I showed a shot last week. It's graphic number Adam 3745. This is the first bank I ever went into in my life. It was on the corner of Washington Street and Main Street in the heart of Jonesboro, Main Street Highway 141. The Citizen Bank building, the first bank I ever went to. It's the first place that I ever had a checking account in my life. And there's no doubt about that. And it was a thrill to do there. And last week, when I got this picture, I'm thinking, this is sad. And it's a big part of my childhood and my life. And so I'll probably end up having a medical question for you. I know it's not your specialty, but my specialty on medicine is I know when I have a sore throat or not. That's all I know. But I won't, this is a week later. This is today, 3763. Now, there's people in suits and masks and all that, and I got out of my car and I was parked I walked about, well, you see, basically, I took the picture right there. It's across the street there. The biggest problem with this building as they're demolishing it, Rusty, is the asbestos and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And it kind of spread a little bit. You could smell it, and I don't think it got in my throat or my eyes or whatever. I still in my glove box had the mask that I wore in COVID, so I put that on. How that would help, I don't I don't know, but it's honestly, people, this is absolutely sad. It's really sad. And Frank Seaton's mom was my ninth grade English teacher. He's in the house watching today, and he's correct. This is right down the road from his house on Washington. So, what do you think about my story about the Citizens Bank building? And do you have any examples of things that was a big part of your day-to-day life, or maybe as a child, or maybe even recently, that's no longer there? You told me a very interesting story earlier off the air.
Even right now, I thought of another story with your description of the bank. The asbestos is one of the major reasons that the old Charity Hospital in New Orleans has not been torn down, because they don't know how to deal with that. It's an enormous structure, 18 floors high and three towers, and it's loaded with asbestos along with a number of other toxic things. And it's still standing, it's fenced off, but nobody goes in there because they can't figure out how to tear it down safely. So that's another thing. I did my residency in the old Charity Hospital, which was a fascinating and legendary place in New Orleans. Another New Orleans thing that I told you about, yeah, there's Charity Hospital. Boy, I spent a lot of hours in that building.
Now,
There's
I don't
all
want to
kinds of
make this
stories.
the tribute to Adam Dunn. How are you impressed with the producer I got for this freaking show? Because I
That was
couldn't do this,
quick.
folks.
That was amazing. But yeah, that's Charity Hospital in New Orleans. It's in downtown New Orleans, maybe 3 blocks from the Superdome, maybe 5 blocks from the French Quarter. So it's right in the middle of everything. And it's just sitting there untouched now. Got a big fence around it.
That's
Nobody goes there because they can't
Jack.
decide what to do with it safely.
Did you go? We won't spend much time on that. Did you ever go to wrestling at the old Jackson Coliseum in Jackson, Tennessee? Have you ever
I
been to that
never
building?
did that. I never went to Jackson. I knew about it, but I never got the chance to go there.
The building now is owned by the school system and it's fenced off, and that's another thing. And of course, the Mid South Coliseum wrestling related. Man, folks, this is a wrestling program, and it just thrills me to death because it was my dream in life to be a television broadcaster broader than the wrestling business. Who ever knew I had this weird ability to create pro wrestling, and it ended up in that. When we talk about this, and I can bring people in and hear their stories, it's just absolutely fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. You had one other story that you were too close to comfort in with New Orleans, and here's more research for you, Adam. As Rusty tells you, this is a fearful, scary situation. I don't know what to think about this. Here's Rusty.
It was scary. It's probably 5, 6 years ago. The Hard Rock Hotel in New Orleans was under construction and it collapsed suddenly. It was on a Saturday morning. And I was in the building next door at the time, which is the New Orleans Athletic Club, which is a gym. And I was on the treadmill at the time, just working out like normal. And one of the workers from the Hard Rock came over suddenly and ran into the gym, still with it like his hard hat on and all that stuff, screaming for everybody to get out because the building was collapsing next door. Everybody in the gym, there's probably 50, 60 people, ran out in the street as fast as we could. And we could see the smoke rising. We could see the stuff falling off. A big tower fell down into the street. I think I got the first picture of one of the dead guys in the building. There's one famous picture of one of the guys who died, sadly, whose legs were hanging out. He had been crushed by one of the falling floors. And I didn't even know it at the time, but I got a picture of it. Um, and I want to say that was 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, they ended up tearing it down. Yeah, that's it. The old Hard Rock. Now that space is at the corner of Rampart Street at Canal Street, so it's right on the edge of the French Quarter, and there's nothing there now. It's just a vacant lot, basically. But that was an
What
amazing story.
what year was this, Rusty?
It must have been 2018, 2019, right around in there. But now I can't remember exactly.
Now I've about the
But it made the
closest.
national news at the time, I remember, and it was
Oh,
all over the airwaves.
I remember watching it, and I can think of times. I'm living Tornado Alley here in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I've survived. Oh, I can't even count. No, the worst tornadoes in Jonesboro, 68, 73, and the one that destroyed our mall in 2020. I mean, you were getting a workout in on there, and the first thing. When's the first thing that you knew something was wrong? Did you hear a noise, or was it when the police officer or the emergency service came in?
Oh, it's not
Explain
even
that.
emergency service. It was one of the workmen in the hotel, the guy working on the building, because it was still under construction at the time. So one of those guys ran in, like I said, with his hard hat on. I was actually on the Stairmaster, just like I normally did on Saturday morning. So it was like 10 o'clock Saturday morning, something like that. And this Hispanic guy ran in. Well, it's kind of interesting because he was speaking Spanish mostly, and a lot of people didn't understand him. But we could tell that he wanted us to get out. So, so everybody in the gym, ran out into the street. So the first I heard of it was him telling us that. Then I saw it and started to hear it once I got outside on the sidewalk out in front of the gym. Like I said, it was next door, so you could see the smoke. You could see the one of the big towers had collapsed and fallen into the street. And the dust was still rising from it at that point. Everybody was afraid uh, that more of it would collapse at that point, and that it obviously would be dangerous. But that was even before the first responders had gotten there. So it was an amazing story.
Just were you puzzled, or how quick did you know this building's falling down right next to me? How quick did you know that?
We didn't really know it, and when the guy ran in and told us, it was when we got outside and saw it. It was obvious, and like that picture there, that's pretty much what we saw, with the smoke still rising like that. You see the big crane that was up on the top? That actually fell off
Oh
and
no.
landed down on Rampart Street, and the top of it, like the pointy part, actually went through the asphalt. So it was pointing upside down, straight up in the air. So it was an amazing sight, and it was a little scary at the time.
Now,
Certain
was your building you were in? How much damage did it take?
almost none. It was
Really?
amazing. Yeah, a few buildings on the other side of the Hard Rock got damaged, but the one we were in, for whatever reason, had almost nothing happen to it.
That's amazing. That is amazing. We're talking about things, uh, things that's went away. Some of it went away in a sad way, and sometimes it went away just because it was time to go away. And of course, we opened talking about the death of Bill Mercer, a legend, and we talked about his great career in broadcasting. We talked about and I want to just add on Janice Carter. Bob and Janice Carter was as poor could be. Mr. Carter, I guess Janice too, grew up in Georgia in like a two-room shack with a bunch of people. Later in life, in his 50s, he got in independent energy and that sort of thing and became a billionaire. And just that's a tremendous. The great thing about America, this country, is the success stories. People were able to start from nothing and become a billionaire or become a president of the United States. So many examples of our past presidents that started from nothing and nowhere. That's kind of changed a little bit now, but back as this country was being built, it's just tremendous, right?
Oh, absolutely. Classic success story. Texas billionaire, oil billionaire, Panda built power plants for the oil fields and made all his money doing that. Um, it expanded after that, but that's where he started, was building power plants.
Now I have a madness to my crazy talk right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling today. We talk about that kind of stuff, things that's no longer there. One of the most traumatic things for all of us, Talking Memphis Wrestling and Team Hales, Rusty and everybody else. I mean, kind of Rusty, kind of Memphis Wrestling just didn't go away. He went away first. I mean, he probably would come home and that sort of thing. But when it did go away, it absolutely went away. And USWA went away in 1997. Power Pro Wrestling came up in 98, and then it went away with 2001. And no Saturday morning wrestling on a major network television station like Channel 5 has been since live television shows. So era ended. Absolutely era ended. My point is that we've seen a lot of wrestlers come and go. Spud McEnroe and Billy Wicks in the late 50s and early 60s. Then their run was over. Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and others had a great run. Jimmy Hart had a great run. It all survived. All survived. I think if we get to it today, we will. If we don't, the different events that affected Memphis wrestling in a negative way for 5 years. For 5 years, this affected Memphis wrestling. And it turned around when this man returned. And as I look here, this video, Adam, is titled Exit Lance, Enter Gossett, March the 4th, 1989, Part 1. There's two parts here. It's 9:49. Part 2 is 9:39. 9:49 is Exit Lance, very classy Dave Brown. And I don't know if you've seen this before, Rusty. You have?
I have.
And
Actually, I was
what-
back in Memphis that weekend just by chance, so I actually saw it live. So just
Dave's,
out of the
yeah.
blue.
Amazing. Man, you can't fake this. You can't fake Dave's true friendship with Lance Russell as we go back to March the 4th, 89. As there's some graphics up, and I'll talk over that before we get to that. Ronnie Gossett was a heel on television, not my favorite guy. March the 4th, 1989, Part 1. Here's Dave
I
Brown.
want to take just a moment of time to say something about someone who's very special to me, who spent many, many years sitting right here in this chair. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Lance Russell. Lance, as many of you may know, has accepted another job. Lance and I have worked in the same building for 25 years. We've shared this desk for 22 years, so it's going to take some getting used to sitting here and not having Lance sitting beside us. Lance, to me, personally, has been everything from an acquaintance to a co-worker to a boss to a teacher. He's responsible for much of the success that I've been able to enjoy in this television business. And he's also, perhaps more importantly, a friend, and will continue to be a friend. He's also a great friend to championship wrestling fans. Lance had planned to be here today, but he started his new job early. And Lance, you know I wish you happiness, and I'm sure all the fans all around the territory wish you the very, very best. We'll be back in just a moment.
Oh, that was so nice. Lance was very much a mentor to Dave.
Oh, no doubt about
We got a
it.
couple of guys
Just
in the ring right
unbelievable.
now. We're set to go with championship wrestling action. Got a great day today. Wrestling Machines, a new tag team that we'll be looking at today with a tremendous background in wrestling.
All of a sudden, Dave is the #1 guy. And watch this.
Circling the tower for about 30 minutes. You know how it is here in this airport.
Who are you and what are you doing
Who
here?
am I? I'm Ronnie P. Gossett the Fourth. Who are you? You must be Dave Brown.
I am Dave
You're my
Brown.
assistant, my sidekick.
Sidekick.
Sidekick, that's right.
I don't know what you're talking about here, but I appreciate it. Take your briefcase and your suitcase and just get out of here.
Well, can you move down for me? What is
I'm not
this?
moving down. No, we
Well-
got a show to do here.
I guess I'll have to put in here myself.
What's your name again?
I'm Ronnie P. Gossett the Fourth. Where have you been all your
I've
life?
been right here, for heaven's sakes, doing championship wrestling for 22 years. We've got
So
a match
funny.
here, if you don't mind.
Listen,
We're
let me tell you something. You and Lance Russell have...
That announce table is a big announce table. It's long.
I'm here to give you a little light.
Every once in a
little
while, they had
vim,
3
and a little
people
vision.
sitting at it.
You know, let me
Yes,
ask you something.
yes.
You know, when this show first comes on, you hear the applause.
Lance had
correct?
left to take a job
Believe
for the
me, brother,
NWA
that's not
and Jim
applause.
Crockett
That's these
Promotions.
idiots out here slapping themselves to wake themselves up.
Well, look, I
Yeah,
don't
all
know
of a
what
sudden
this
you
is all
start seeing
about.
Lance
I just
on
appreciate it if you-
WTBS
if
out
you
of
don't
Atlanta.
Sit here, then
Right.
sit here and be quiet. We've got to get this underway here. Referee Jerry Calhoun has called for the bell. We've got tag team action as the Mason-Dixon Connection. John Paul and Tracy Smothers are going against Keith.
This is a very young Tracy Smothers with John Paul in this match. The Mason-Dixon Connection. Would that be considered politically incorrect now? Rusty?
I don't think so. You're asking the wrong person about that, but I don't think so. That seems pretty reasonable, I guess. The Mason-Dixon line actually predated the Civil War, so I don't think it's a problem.
I'm a little battle scarred for that. Remember, I'm a Arkansas State University Indian till they made us change it to the Redwoods, and you can tell
These guys have a little bit of potential.
Tracy Smothers tights right there. I guarantee you that might be offensive to some. I can understand that.
Right. I have a business. I'm not just a flunky like you that comes up here.
So
every
who is
Saturday
it that
and
they're
begs to get
that
in and
Tracy is wrestling there? What is it? The
I think
Evolution
that's
tag
Keith
team.
Eric, just some two enhancement talent.
Okay.
This one is Keith Eric, and
Oh,
he was
okay.
a regular.
remember
I'm
Keith
sure you've
Eric.
seen him a million times.
Oh yeah, Keith Eric was on many
Why are you
times.
here?
Why am I here?
I like him.
I told you to save these people from 20 more years of boredom. We got rid of senile Lance Russell, and now I'm stuck with you, and you may be gone.
Here, Ronnie, get rid of
You're not
senile Lance Russell.
Replacement, let me tell you that.
Not Lance Russell's replacement.
No, sir.
Just wait and see, kid. You better wake up and smell the coffee.
Tag made by John Paul on Tracy Smith.
Now, nobody, I was a little fearful with what we got the last minute news Lance was leaving, and I was worried that Jerry Jarrett was going to ask me to co-host with Dave. And that's the last thing in the world I want to do, follow a legend, even with Dave as the lead guy, the last thing. But he knew better. That would have been burying me like hell. Nobody can replace, but to have a heel do it with Ronnie Gossett, and he was a heel in real life, he just didn't play one on television, Rusty. I think it was the right decision. It was a short time, because he was a heel manager.
Right. So what was your role with the company at that time? So this was 1989.
I was the assistant general manager for the company and the assistant booker.
Drop the leg across the back of the neck. John Paul.
I was number 2 in the pecking order as far as creative was concerned. Jerry Jarrett won, me number 2 in that year, in '89.
So where did Eddie Marlin fall into that arrangement?
He was the event promoter, and he was the spokesman for the wrestling company. He was never ever in creative, ever. We convinced people, the audience, that he was, but he never was.
Oh yeah, I thought he was.
I'm not saying he never had an idea, because he did, but official part of the booking team, certainly had Jerry Jarrett's ear, no doubt. It was Jerry Jarrett's number 1 guy for many, 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 many years.
Wasn't he Jerry Jarrett's father-in-law?
Yes.
And he had been a wrestler for many years before.
Oh yeah. My first favorite wrestler, as a matter of fact, Eddie Marlin, and he gave me my break to the wrestling business. The Mason-Dixon line against Keith Eric and somebody, and a good babyface tag team. We'll see. If we have time, BC, we'll show Jerry Lawler against the Master of Pain, the future Undertaker. We'll show that today if we have time.
I've been taping your tapes, and I have no trouble at all falling asleep, I can assure you.
Yeah, classic babyface tag team match.
At least we're able to help you out in some way there.
That's about the only way.
Ronnie Gossett, Ronald P. Gossett, the fourth. I beg your pardon.
I think he dropped the 4th, didn't he? I don't think
I don't remember hearing it later on.
And Tracy's mother puts him down to the mat. Tracy over to the corner. John Paul.
I noted Shane says Tracy was always stuck in tag team matches. That's true. He did a lot of tag team matches.
Later on with Steve Armstrong, and also in ECW, Shane, with the FBI. And the Mason-Dixon connection gets the win.
I'm going to give these boys one of my cards, believe me.
Keith Eric and the Hangman.
Yes.
Ronald P. Gossett out here claiming that he's here to save the show and that he's going to give those guys a card.
Just like I said, boys, you look good as far as appearance go, but you can't wrestle. Now, I have some cards. I just saw what happened. That's why I say it again. You can't wrestle. Now, I have some cards here. And I'm going to give you a card. You can read. Now, I will take time out of my busy schedule to help you in any way I can, because believe me, you two need all the help you can get.
Ronnie was so funny.
And not collect.
Well, I hope you're satisfied. I think
Has a lot of
making everyone upset.
one-liners.
You've got a show to
Yep.
do. If you would please just
Call me sometime and not collect.
Like it is, Davy Brown. What are you doing sitting here? I can see we've got a break, and you're sitting here like, look at it. You see that word? Break.
I see that word.
All right, we need to go to a break. Show a little professionalism. Don't just sit there.
Let's go to a break.
No wonder nobody likes you.
A classic video.
Oh, that's so funny.
Let's just go back to the beginning of it. Dave couldn't have been, it was heartfelt. If you're real, even though it's a wrestling show, if you're real, you capture the people's imagination and their heartstrings, right?
Oh, absolutely. We all could tell, or at least I could tell, on screen, Dave felt very highly of Lance Russell, and it came out in that it wasn't really a wrestling promo. It's just a testimony, basically.
No doubt about it. I mean, it's just absolutely tremendous. Part two of this, and Jerry Lawler gets involved, and his interaction with Ronnie Gossett is fantastic as well. This is part two. This is 9 minutes 39 seconds. I'm talking Memphis Wrestling. He's Rusty Robertson. I'm Randy Hales. As we continue with Exit Lance Russell and Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth, as we're on Talking Memphis Wrestling today.
I'm not looking forward to seeing more of you. I wanted to.
Oh, you'll see more of me. I'm like the World's Fair. I get bigger and better every year.
I do want to call the King out here. The King has got a tour coming up of Japan, and maybe we can get a few words from him.
Wait just a minute. You're calling the King out here? Let me interview Jerry Lawler.
I'll interview Jerry Lawler if you don't mind.
Oh, I've got a good story about Jerry Lawler going to Japan.
All right, let's pause this video here, Adam, if we can. Just push stop. If we can do that and keep it right there. And Rusty has a good story.
I do. So at the time, I already moved, my wife and I had already moved to New Orleans. She was working for the Japanese consulate in New Orleans, which actually covered Memphis and Tennessee. So when Jerry wanted to go to Japan, he went several times, but this time in particular, he had to submit his information, to the Japanese consulate. So he submitted a picture in his wrestling tights, carrying the crown, all that stuff. And the Japanese ambassadors had no idea what to make of this guy. So my wife had to explain it, that he's a wrestler. And once they knew he was a wrestler, they got it, because wrestling was a real big deal in Japan at the time. I guess it still is. At any rate, I always thought that was a funny story about Lawler going to Japan.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic story. See what he brings to the show, some great information, and we'll go back to Ronnie Gossett. I think the King is fixing up here right now.
There he is, Jerry Lawler with a unified world title in hand.
You just sit down. I'll take it from here.
King, this guy says he's going to do the interview. Just watch
Who is he and what is he? Sit down over here, nitwit. I told you I was taking over. You take your spot here. Jerry Lawler,
Nitwit.
I have watched you many, many, many long years. I admit I have respect for you. You're a champion. You beat many, many people. You're going to Japan. These guys are in tip-top shape. They run, they do squats, and you're going to represent us. Well, let me tell you something. You are out of shape. You look... I cannot believe that a world champion
Lawler can barely keep a straight face at this.
the
Right.
way that you have. You have hit these fast food places till you've ran them out of business. I'm being serious with you, Lawler. You look horrible. I mean, really. What is it?
First of all, if you're going to conduct this interview, you say your piece, and then when it's time for me to say something, try to put the microphone over here where I can speak something first. Now, let me say, I didn't believe in hate at first sight until today. You're going to stand out here and you're going to tell me, you're going to look at me and tell me
This
that I'm
was
out of
Jerry
shape.
Jarrett
You're gonna
idea.
do that?
Ronnie Goss and Jeff Jarrett were friends at the time. Ronnie used to come to matches with Jeff.
Now you've been talking and running your mouth the entire show. Let me just say a few words. First of all, I don't know much about you, Ronnie P. Gossett, but I want to ask you a question.
Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth.
Okay, the fourth. Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you one question, Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth. Is that your real face, or are you breaking it in for a bulldog, or what is the deal?
Lawler was so good with the one-liners too.
Oh,
Let
right.
me say this too. There's one good thing about your face. It's not as ugly as your body. I don't want to say you're fat, Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth, but I'll bet you get fan mail from Moby Dick, don't you?
Let me tell you something, Lawler.
I'm not through, and you couldn't tell me anything. You might ask me something. Now, you know, a guy as fat as you are, when he gets on an elevator, it better be going down. Am I right or not? Look at him. Is that right? Huh? Are you going to conduct this interview? You're going to stand here and tell me I'm out of shape? You know, Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth, you ought to keep your mouth closed or somebody's going to stick an apple in it. And then you'll look just right. You understand that? As a matter of fact, Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth, I would think, don't you ordinarily need a license to be that fat? Huh? Is that right? You're fat, and you're going to call me out of shape, huh?
Let me tell you something, Lawler. You don't call me fat. Now, I may be a little bit overweight. I may be a little chubby in certain spots. But let me tell you something. I am not fat. Now, you can stand out here and knock me all you want to. But the bottom line is, you're going to Japan. You're going to represent us, and you've got all these little kids that look up to Jerry Lawler. Don't you know what a bad example you're starting? When they look up to you, you know what's going to happen to you when you get to Japan? They're going to send you right back. They're going to take one look at you, and they're going to say, is this the best we have for a world champion? Then you're coming back. Because, brother, you look terrible. Are you not exercising? What is it?
Well, let me just say, apparently you don't have any mirrors at your house either, do you, Ronnie P. Gossett the fourth? Because you see, and you stand. Are you trying to tell these people?
You know, there was
that
some
you're gonna
truth
be
to
an
that
announcer out here,
because
that
Lawler
you're gonna try to
didn't
take the place
routinely
of
like go
somebody
to a
like a Lance
gym
Russell?
or
Is that what
lift
you're trying to
weights or
do?
anything like that.
Well,
That
somebody
that
with
was
a
his
voice
natural
like yours,
size.
you see, you got
Absolutely.
that little high squeaky voice. Somebody with an IQ like yours should have a low voice too. See, to match your IQ. So don't try to come out here and tell people that you're going to take over the show. I've already heard you out here. You're knocking everything. You're knocking Eddie Marlin. You're knocking Dave Brown. You're knocking Jeff Jarrett. You're knocking me. You're even knocking a match that I am really looking forward to, like this. You knocked the egg in the face match. What do you got to say about something?
The egg in the face match. Now, that could only come from over here with senile Eddie Marlin. He had to book an egg match. Let me tell you something.
Do you even understand what the concept of that match is?
No, I don't, but an egg match. What is an egg match? A guy stands there and the guy throws the egg, right?
No.
And the first one to get a dozen leaves or wins, right?
No. Let me tell you about an egg match. What an egg match is that's where somebody puts at stake his dignity, his pride, because if he loses the match, they have a little contraption that the guy stands in, he puts his hand behind. Now, the other wrestler doesn't throw the eggs. You pick not one, not two, not 10, but 50
Oh yeah,
people, 50
Hood 12. These guys
people
are
out of
just
the audience,
hilarious.
and they get to come up
They
and
really
throw
work well
eggs in
together.
this loser's face. And then he is, let me, hey, wait a minute. I mean, has anybody got any eggs? Are there any eggs here? No eggs. Well, let me.
I'd forgotten
Hey,
about
where's
this
the egg
part
egg?
about
Yeah,
let me
classic.
the egg match.
let me just show you how this works without the eggs, okay? Because they do happen to have. Do you have the thing that the guy gets in? Because I don't think you understand what we try to do around here. I don't think you understand. I'll tell you what. Come here. Look at. See the. Do you see this little apparatus right here?
I see that little one-horse contraption.
Okay. What it is, when somebody loses an egg match, a guy stands in there. Of course, there's a little screen over there to protect his eyes or whatever, and a guy stands in there, and then he takes the humiliation and he takes the embarrassment of being hit in the face with eggs by the fans. Now, you don't think that would be exciting? You don't think that would be funny? Look, just put yourself,
Oh, there's Eddie
put
Marlin.
yourself in the place of the loser of the match.
Yep.
Hey, no eggs. Anybody got any eggs? We don't have any eggs, but
First place, I can't get in that contraption.
no, you don't get in it. Look, all you would do is stand behind it. You would just stand right there. You would just stand in there. This is now the loser of the match would have to stand in there. You put your arms right down in here, and then the fans would come up and throw eggs in the guy's face. Look, see, and then you got this stuff. If we only had any eggs, see, that's what it would be like. Yeah. Hey, wait a
You know
minute.
something's going to happen here.
Oh, yeah.
There's some egg right here.
Well,
I found an egg. I can't believe. Ah. Nobody. Shut up.
Yeah, Reese Lewis says, I just love this. Me too. This is such a great follow-up to help cover, I guess not cover, make up for Lance leaving.
absolutely.
And I can tell you one thing. I know politicians, and I know people. You can laugh all you want to. I'll remember this, Lawler. Believe me, I'll remember this.
You're right.
And you will, too.
You said one thing right. You said nobody makes a fool out of Ronnie P. Gossett. That's only because God beat us to it, brother. He did that a long time ago.
You haven't heard the last of this. If you think I'll forget this, you're crazy. Let's take a break, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
Well, I was reminded, I had another story there too. I think I may have told you this before, Randy. So Coach Bob Crone was the
Yeah.
baseball coach at Christian Brothers High School, where I went to high school. So he was my baseball coach. It was also a cameraman for WMC TV.
And
he
the floor
worked-
director as well. The floor
Is
director.
that right? Okay, yeah. You could see him every once in a while, live on the camera. So you knew, and he told us at school that he did that. So that was fun to see him again.
Yeah, Coach Crone, that's for sure. Did he ever know that you ended up a successful surgeon in New Orleans? Do you think?
I don't know. He retired years ago. So I don't know. I haven't heard from Coach Crone or heard anything about him in many years.
I would imagine he's passed away. Adam might have some information.
I would
for
assume.
that. In the Power Pro run from 98 to 2001, he did. By that time, he had retired.
Right.
He had returned, but everybody called him Coach.
Absolutely. We all did at school too.
And he was very well liked, just super.
Oh, he was an excellent baseball coach. They had, I think, 2 state baseball titles under Coach Crone for Christian Brothers. So he was one of the best high school baseball coaches ever. I think people wondered why he didn't try to move up to be a college coach, but he stayed with Christian Brothers for probably 25 years, something like that.
That's cool. Lance Russell went away, and Dave Brown, the general Ronnie Gossett, and then they established the Hill. But then Dave had to have vacations. He absolutely had to have vacation, and this I want to show the open only from the USWA show from 7/28 of 1990. If I did this right, Adam, this will be a Michael St. John Open, and just right after the Open, then come out of it. We're not going to watch this whole hour and a half television show. This is Michael St. John. As far as I know, the first appearance of Michael St. John, as he had to replace, because he solo Lance and Dave both, for Christ's sake.
Now, Michael was doing something with the company before this, though, wasn't he?
Different interviews and videos, a lot of stuff for sure.
I remember hearing his voice, but you didn't see him on camera.
This is the first Michael St. John at TV5. I love that open. He did a lot of stuff at Randy West's house, our studio, in 1990, and here we go now. This is Michael's first studio appearance. He's solo. Here we go.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome in to USWA Championship Wrestling. My name is Michael St. John. You know, it's always great to be here. This is the very first and only, the last one left, live wrestling television show in America, and it's great to be here. And today on USWA Championship Wrestling, we have an outstanding card. We have the Dirty White Boy schedule, the Wild Things, Rough and Tough Tag Team, also the Unified World Heavyweight Champion, the Snowman.
So this is still in 1989, right?
Yes. No, this might be, no, I think this is 1990.
Okay.
Early 90s.
Also on the program, the USWA tag titles are on the line as Joey Maggs and Rex King take on the new team that has made quite an impression, Primetime Brian Lee and his partner Don Harris. Also, we're going to be showing you a tape of a match that happened recently at the Coliseum, the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, with Tessa and the Dirty White Girl handcuffed in the corners of their respective teams. They got into it at the end of the match, and a little bit more got exposed than what you would normally see, if you get my drift. We'll be getting all of this action and all the fun of USWA Championship Wrestling. First, let's take this break, and we'll be back with the action.
Oh, Michael did a good job right off the bat.
Fantastic. Adam, go ahead, because that was Michael in 1990. The picture of Michael at my book signing with the TMW crew. Can you show that? That's what Michael St. John looks like today. We all change. We all change, don't we, William?
Oh, absolutely. He still looks good, though.
Yeah.
Michael looks like he's doing very well.
Then a few weeks later, it was a USWA Open, as I put my glasses on. So this was from August the 4th, 1990. This is Dave and Michael St. John together, and we're going to watch that right now. We're talking about it.
You know, Randy, I was just thinking, there was a buddy of mine back in the day who was one of the enhancement guys, you know, the guys that would come on Saturday morning and get beat, whose name was Gary Graham. In fact, he might have been before your time, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was working at a Kroger grocery store, where I was working in high school. I think he had retired from wrestling by then. But he knew all the wrestlers, and they would come into the store regularly.
We really enjoyed it, Dave. It's good being here with you this time around.
Good to have you back. Who's on the show today?
Boy, we got a big card lined up. We have the USWA Unified Heavyweight Champion, the Snowman, will be in action. We also have
Michael and Dave working together for the first time.
Champions that will be defending their belts right here on television. I'm talking about Rex King and Joey Maggs. And a whole lot more. I mean,
Shane says, where did the statue come from that started Memphis Wrestling? That's a classic statue titled The Wrestler, I believe.
As a tag team, many of you wrestling fans will remember
So it predated that
you'll
show.
see them here in our opening match when we come back and get this action
I
underway.
think Randy has a copy of it now, and Jeff Jarrett has a copy of it now.
are right here at ringside.
All right, let's get out of that right now. I said Michael's just an excellent broadcaster. There's no doubt about it. Excellent broadcaster.
Oh, he was great right off the bat. Didn't miss a beat.
Well, as all announcers do, they get involved in situations. This is Michael, and later than this, quite a bit later than this, Michael gets attacked. This is 8 minutes 5 seconds, and this is good stuff.
Hear what he has to say now. Billy Joe Travis.
First of all, Michael, how many cards and letters did the TV station receive requesting me to sing again?
Well, I got one request, Billy, but I told your mother that it just wasn't the place.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't get smart with me. You're forgetting who got you that job at BFI. So you just relax. I want you to read this letter here. Okay. Open it up. Woo, I'm happy about this. Let that down. Now, open it up. And you idiots, listen to this.
All right, it reads, Dear Mr. Travis, on my way to L.A. by way of Memphis, I had my TV on and caught you performing a song. My question is, was that really you singing? And if so, you were great. Love, Paula Abdul. P.S. If you're ever in L.A., call me.
No, don't give him that number.
Paula Abdul.
That's right. Paula Abdul has been in love with Billy Joe for over 2 years now. Well, Paula, Billy's going to give you a call right after this, and I'd like to
John
dedicate
Alexander
this
says,
pretty
was Billy
song to
ever
you.
really
You
over
mean
in
you're going to
Memphis?
sing
I think
again?
he was.
For sure.
I'll take this microphone. Well, excuse me, but I think you've got my chair. No, that one's not taken, I don't mind. You sit here, I'll be glad to share. Yeah, it's usually packed here on Friday nights. And if you don't mind, could I talk you out of a light? Oh, you're welcome, but I don't think I caught your name. Are you waiting for someone to meet you here? Well,
Oh, the
that
facials
makes
and the
two of
arm
us.
movements are great.
Glad you came. No, I don't know the name of the...
Billy, honey, you are just the most greatest singer on God's green earth, honey. But I have something real important I need to discuss with this
Honey, love,
liar here, honey. You, on top of being a habitual liar, have lied. No, honey, I hate you a lot worse than you hate me. Now, you have just lied to everybody out there looking at television. Under no circumstances is my perfect 10 body going to be in any 6-man tag match with that Proxide punk Jeff Jarrett and that Tennessee gelding Robert Fuller and that oldest living virgin Ronnie Gossett, honey. So I suggest, Michael, that you tell the people right now that the 6-man tag match is the wonderfully glamorous PYTs and the Dragon Masters
Yeah,
against
Hood
them
12.
other 3 idiots.
Billy
Now
Joe
tell
was
them right
arrested
now.
on
Wait a
air.
minute, wait a minute.
The
Christopher,
chance for not paying child support.
I'm only the announcer out here. I have to read what is given to me. The match has been signed. The match
Oh, no, it has not been signed, honey. Now, you're the one out here. You're the spokesman. You will tell these people that I will not be in this match. You can't have false advertising. That's illegal. Now tell them the
You know,
truth.
this was interesting,
I
too,
can't
because he's
master
playing
the
a
PYTs
flamboyantly
against them
gay
punks.
character.
No, I can't do that. You'll have to
Before
talk
that
to Eddie
was a thing
Marlin to get a
on
match
TV.
changed. The match is signed. The
Eddie Marlin, nothing. You will
Wait a
pump-
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You don't threaten me. I'm just the announcer out here. You don't threaten me.
Oh, is that so?
Well, beating up Michael.
Poor Michael. Welcome to the wrestling business. Crazy stuff. Here comes Eddie Marlin, moving out ahead.
Oh, Michael's selling pretty good.
Yes, he got it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Mike Burke
here, honey. What a great, exciting match we have all over here. Oh, honey, the greatest six-man tag of all time. When the PYTs, honey, tag with the 7-foot Dragon Master to take on 124-pound anorexic Jeff Jarrett, Robert Fuller, totally out of shape, honey, and Ronnie Gossett. You know, Ronnie Gossett comes out here and tells the world, honey.
You can tell he's still out of breath here.
Yeah,
We're never going to
I love that.
Let me tell you something, Chris Lord. First thing I want to tell you, you've been fined $2,000. You're an idiot. Get out of my way.
Well, you listen to what I say. And if you ever put your hand on an announcer and any official of USWA, you'll be barred from now on. You'll never be managing nobody again. Do you understand that?
Oh, is that so?
That's right.
And you think you're big enough to do that to me?
I am the man to do it.
I'm the one people are buying tickets to see,
I don't
honey.
care who you are. If you ever lay your
All right,
hand on
James
anybody
Davis.
else in
We're
the
just
company,
looking at
you will
some
be fired.
old tape from 1990
Completely.
after
I'm not
Lance
leaving.
Russell left.
So what a great six-man tag match it's going to be.
Don't.
How dare you touch me?
Get out of
You
here.
do not touch me.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Don't mess
man.
with Eddie
Eddie
Martin.
Martin was a legitimate badass.
Oh, yeah.
The Outlaws, I forgot exactly who these guys were, Adam.
Now all you people
I
at
think
home,
you're right,
honey,
Big Randy Rhodes and Eric Country.
Oh, here comes Jeff.
this is the lowest fun
His
line.
grandson.
Now you got these two pigs out here.
Oh, that's right.
We'll
Eddie
handle
was
this
Jeff's
too.
grandfather. And that's Robert Fuller, I believe, right, isn't it, Randy?
Do what?
Is that Robert Fuller in the ring with Jeff?
Yes.
Sometimes I can't tell he and Ron Fuller apart.
Pat Trammell's in the house. And we'll bring him on as we go to break right here. Because that was the confrontation with Burt Prentice beating up Michael St. John, Eddie Marlin coming out, Angle there. As we come out of that right now and talking Memphis wrestling, and for the past 72 minutes.
Get your camera right here. Get it over here.
It's been Randy
I want
Hills
to tell you something,
and
Rob.
Oh, there's
I
Coach.
want you to get it good and straight, son.
Yes.
You're going to be in a six-man tag, no matter how obnoxious and fat you are. And two, you might die of exhaustion, but you're going to be there.
You know, Robert
came out
Fuller
there
was pretty
and
well
you threw
built.
alcohol in my eyes. I
Yeah.
never had nothing burn like that. I'm going to promise you this. You're going to burn from your head to your toes, you big fat pig.
all right. Pat Trammell in the house with Dr. Robinson. You know who I am, Pat. You made it, buddy.
Hi, Pat.
I did make it. Hey. It's been quite a night.
You went to church, right?
Well, I went to church to see, at the direction of my bride, to see the Whippin' Poofs.
Oh, the Whipping Booth, the singing
Who
group
are the
from
Whippin' Poofs,
Yale.
you ask?
Yeah,
Yeah,
male singing group, I believe.
it's an a cappella group from Yale.
Right. They're very good.
And there's a kid from our church in it, and they're on tour. So, anyway.
We're talking a lot of stuff. We're talking about changes in life, and I'm going to re-show something right now to bring you up. Adam, let's go back to the USWA Open that we showed earlier. This is the announcement of Lance. This took place on. I want to make sure we have the right stuff here. Right here. let's see, from March the 4th, 1989, part one, 9 minutes, 49 seconds. This, we're talking about, Pat, we're talking about things that affected Memphis wrestling badly for several years. The exit of Lance Russell did, and we want you to watch this as we watch it again on
We are going to
Talking
get underway
Memphis
here
Wrestling.
very shortly, but I do want to take just a moment of time to say something about someone who's very special to me, who spent many, many years sitting right here in this chair. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Lance Russell. Lance, as many of you may know, has accepted another job. Lance and I have worked in the same building for 25 years. We've shared this desk for 22 years, so it's going to take some getting used to sitting here and not having Lance sitting beside us. Lance, to me, personally, has been everything from an acquaintance to a co-worker to a boss to a teacher. He's responsible for much of the success that I've been able to enjoy in this television business. And he's also, perhaps more importantly, a friend, and will continue to be a friend. He's also a great friend to championship wrestling fans. Lance had planned to be here today, but he started his new job early. And Lance, you know I wish you happiness, and I'm sure all the fans all around the territory wish you the very, very best. We'll be back to this more.
Okay, Adam, let's come out of that right now. So I don't know if you had ever watched this. This was the exit of Lance Russell, and I'll tell the story. Story now is that Lance got the job for Jim Crockett Promotions in Atlanta, and it was at a time period where Randy West, Dave Brown, Randy Hales, Eddie Marlin, everybody in a period of time in '89 where business was bad, we were starving to death. The money had been cut big time. Lance trying to feed his family, and his main source of income and his salary had been drastically cut. He decided to leave. He called and gave the notice to Jerry Lawler. Told Lawler, said, I can make this TV this coming Saturday, then I'll start. And Lawler called and told Jerry Jarrett that and said, let's be there Saturday. And Jerry Jarrett said, the hell with that. Said he's leaving with no notice and it's going to kill us. And he said he will never be on my TV again.
Wow.
At all. So I hope he dies. Very bitter at that point. So we started Pat with Ronnie Gossett coming up during that show, and it was Dave Brown doing that thing. That was to recap you of the history of what went on. What did you think about Dave's opening right then?
Well, it reminds me of a lot because I remember, at the time I was watching Crockett all the time. And I remember when Lance came and, worked some with Gordon Soley. And I have obviously the highest respect for Lance. And I have very high respect for Gordon. But together, it just didn't work.
No, it did not work at all. And it worked, and they brought him into the USWA and in '84, and it didn't work there at all. It was two lead guys for sure. Did you think Dave did a great job there?
I thought he did, given what, he must have, well, I'm sure he could see it coming, or I would assume Lance talked to him about it, but that's just a big hole to fill, man.
No doubt about it.
And Tony, I agree. Dave did step up without missing a beat, and he was great. But it's kind of like when Coach Bryant walked off the sideline at Alabama. It just never was the same.
7/28/90, the Open only, the USWA Open. This is Michael St. John's in studio debut. Dave was off, and this is Michael, and we will watch that right now just so Pat can comment about his buddy. Greg White, you're exactly right. It was weird. There's some people from Florida and Georgia might disagree with you. Everybody from Memphis, Tennessee is right with you, including me, by golly. Listen to Michael. This is his first solo opening on a live TV show. This is Michael St. John. Hello, Rashad. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome in to USWA Championship Wrestling. My name is Michael St. John. You know, it's always great to be here. This is the very first and only, the last one left, live wrestling television show in America, and it's great to be here. And today on USWA Championship Wrestling, we have an outstanding card. We have the Dirty White Boys schedule, the Wild Things, Rough and Tough Tag Team. Also, the Unified World Heavyweight Champion, the Snowman, will be here. We will have a match to determine who the #1 contender to that crown is between Jerry the King Lawler and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Also on the program, the USWA Tag titles are on the line as Joey Maggs and Rex King take on the new team that has made quite an impression, Primetime Brian Lee and his partner Don Harris. Also, we're going to be showing you a tape of a match that happened recently at the Coliseum, the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, with Tessa and the Dirty White Girl handcuffed in the corners of their respective teams. They got into it at the end of the match, and a little bit more got exposed than what you would normally see, if you get my drift. We'll be getting all of this action and all the fun of USWA Championship Wrestling. First, let's take this break, and we'll be back with the action.
Later on, Michael teamed with Jay Brown, and we have a picture in '97, Lance Russell, when he returned after Corey Macklin, myself, and Jay Brown all left, and Lance and Michael St. John worked together. Pat, had you seen that before? And if you,
I had not seen that before, and I thought Michael did a great job with it. You know, I wish he and Lance had some, some real time to develop together. But I thought it was great.
In '97, they worked together for a few months, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, a few months.
So Lance came back in '97?
94.
94. Okay, so he was gone for 4 years or so.
5 years. March of '80. It was March of end of February was his last TV that he did physically, and he returned March of '94. March of '94. So isn't that 5 years?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
And I remember
I guess it is, but I don't remember him.
I was just going to say, it never really worked out that well on TBS for Lance. They had him doing like side interviews, and he just didn't seem to fit in.
Yeah, and I don't remember him being there that long, Randy. Was he there that whole time?
No. When he came back, he wasn't allowed by his wife and others to work for Jerry Jarrett. I had to do the sell job to get him to guarantee that Jerry Jarrett wouldn't be there, and what happened? Jerry Jarrett was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Jerry Jarrett had been so bitter over Lance leaving.
Well, Lance was bitter too. It was on Jerry Jarrett big time. I mean, it was in businesses that happens, and so when I called Lance and pitched the idea for Monday Night Memories, and he said, hey, that's going to be a family decision. Said, can you come over to my house? You got to talk to Audrey and me together. And so in that conversation, they both said, we just don't want to have anything to do with Jerry Jarrett. I said, he hadn't been in that TV station in a year. He worked for Vince McMahon. He won't be there. They said, do you have my guarantee? I said, yeah, he won't be there. He worked for New York. Then Lance did the TV on a Saturday. Then Lawler calls me on Sunday. We got a problem, kid. And I said, what is that? He said, Jerry Jarrett called me and he's mad at you. I said, for bringing Lance back? And he said, no. He said he was mad you didn't book him on the card Monday night. He said he called cussing me for not booking him, and I told him I didn't book the card, you did. And I said, well, thanks for throwing me in on the bus. And Lawler knew the deal, what he said, for the whole heat. Lawler knew all that, and I said, Lance will walk out. I said, if we don't give him a heads up, I said, he's got to know that, and it's got to be his decision whether he wants to come or not. And Lawler said, well, I'll call him. I said, no, I'll call him. I said, I'm the one that told him uh, that he wasn't going to be there. And I said, I'll just tell him the truth, that Jarrett was mad at me for not booking him on the card, and because he built Memphis Wrestling, and he did. It just never entered my mind he'd want to come, but he did. And so that's a mess. Have I told that story before, Pat?
I've not heard that story before.
Nor have I.
And I have a question that may not be appropriate, and it may not be my business, and it's perfectly fine if you say it's not. I know how I know how the talent got paid based on the house. Were the announcers paid that way, or were they on a salary?
Dave was on a salary from TV5 and from the wrestling company, both. His appearance for TV was at that time was $400 a week. After Lance left, he got a bump, a little bit of a bump. Lance he sold the show in syndication. He had a little piece of Lexington, Kentucky, Mount Sterling, Kentucky. But Lance's salary in the get-go, when he came to work for the company in 1977, was $1,000. Then when Lawler did his attempted coup to take over the company, Lance was raised to 13. In '89, Dave, I believe, was decreased to 150 for the 1 day a week, and Lance, I think, got $300 or $400 a week. Lance West was, he probably get mad at me for saying this. I don't remember the factor. Eddie Marlin, me, it wasn't like one person was saying it. As a businessman later, you realize you'd make hard decisions, type of thing. I know Pat's uncomfortable in this situation. Such a big fan and loved Jerry Jarrett, so I see how nervous you get, Pat, anytime we talk negative stuff on Jerry Jarrett.
No, I mean, I was friends with Jerry Jarrett, and I wasn't friends with him very long. But look, he tried to get me in a business deal with him. I know who Jerry was out for. I mean, that's not a big deal. I'm more concerned about it because I'm friends with Shane, and I don't know how much I want to talk about how much money his daddy was making on TV. So that was what I was thinking.
Well, probably if you would have prefaced like that with Shane, I probably wouldn't answer that. You set me up.
Well, I didn't mean to. Maybe I'll buy Shane a beer at the Wisteria Lounge in Pensacola now. I'm down there and make it up to it.
One other thing, since you joined the show, Rusty's been with me from before the show went on the air. We had good stuff, folks. We should go live with our pre-production meeting. It was fantastic. I want to show you one other thing we showed before. This is from the USWA. It's 8 minutes and 5 seconds long. We won't. You might have seen some of this before when you joined the show, but just the part through the attack of Michael St. John, not the Eddie attack.
We'll hear what he has to say now. Billy Joe Travis.
First of all, Michael, how many cars...
By the way, Rashad, Lance, I believe, got $150 coming to the Mid-South Coliseum. Dave hardly ever came.
I got one request, Billy, but I told your mother that it just wasn't the place.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't get smart with me. You're forgetting who got you that job at BFI, so you just relax. I want you to read this letter here. Open it up. Woo, I'm happy about this. Let that down. Now, Open it up.
Yeah, Dave always had to do the weather on Channel 5 at 10 o'clock.
All right, it
Or
reads,
he couldn't
Dear
usually
Mr.
come to the
Travis, on my
Coliseum.
way to L.A. by way of Memphis,
5,
I had
6,
my
and
TV
10.
on and caught you performing a song. My question is, was that really you singing? And if so, you were great. Love, Paula Abdul. P.S. If you're ever in L.A., call me.
No, don't give him that number.
Paula Abdul.
That's right. Paula Abdul has been in love with Billy Joe for over 2 years now. Well, Paula, Billy's going to give you a call right after this, and I'd like to dedicate this pretty song to you.
You mean you're going to sing again?
I'll take this microphone. Well, excuse me, but I think you've got my chair. No, that one's not taken, I don't mind. You sit here, I'll be glad to share. Yeah, it's usually packed here on Friday nights. And if you don't mind, could I talk you out of a light? Oh, you're welcome, but I don't think I caught your name. Are you waiting for someone to meet you here? Well, that makes 2 of us. Glad you came. No, I don't know the name of the...
Billy, honey, you are just the most greatest singer on God's green earth, honey. But I have something real important I need to discuss with this
Honey, love,
liar here, honey. You, on top of being a habitual liar, have lied. No, honey, I hate you a lot worse than you hate me. Now, you have just lied to everybody out there looking at television. Under no circumstances is my perfect 10 body going to be in any 6-man tag match with that Proxide punk Jeff Jarrett and that Tennessee gelding Robert Fuller and that oldest living virgin Ronnie Gossett, honey. So I suggest, Michael, that you tell the people right now that the 6-man tag match is the wonderfully glamorous PYTs and the Dragon Masters against them other 3 idiots. Now tell them right now. And you
wait a minute, Christopher, I'm only the announcer out here. I have to read what is given to me. The match has been signed. The match...
Oh, no, it has not been signed, honey. Now, you're the one out here. You're the spokesman. You will tell these people that I will not be in this match. You can't have false advertising. That's illegal. Now tell them the truth. Dragon Master, the PYTs against them bums.
No, I can't do that. You'll have to talk to Eddie Marlin to get a match changed. The match is signed.
Eddie Marlin, nothing. You will...
Wait a minute.
You will threaten me. I'm just the announcer out here. You don't threaten me. Oh, is that so?
Whoa!
Beating up Randy. Or, excuse me, beating up Michael.
Yes.
You know, well,
go ahead, Pat.
I've never seen Chris Love before. I've never seen Bert in that. He could have made a lot of money somewhere.
Oh.
I don't know where, but he could have made a lot of money.
Well,
that was a great character.
It really was.
Let's come out of that, Michael. Adam.
Great, exciting match we have all over here. Oh, honey. The greatest 6-man
Yeah, he's doing a flamboyantly gay
time.
character in the days before that was common.
Oh yeah. Adam said he was in Glow. I remember that Glamorous Ladies of Wrestling. I don't remember that, but he was. I'll tell you what, that's a character right there.
Talking Memphis Wrestling, Pat Trammell is in the house. We have a couple more videos to show, but first I want to recap a little bit for Pat. The wrestling world had a couple of deaths we want to talk about today, and we talked about earlier the mother of TNA President Dixie Carter. This is Janice Carter from Panda Energy. I did not see an age on Mrs. Carter, but she passed away this weekend. Obviously, the mother of Dixie, the husband of Panda Energy founder Bob Carter, the death of Mrs. Carter, Pat, this past weekend.
Well, condolences to her family. I think Dixie's 57 or so. So I think she had a good life, long life.
Yes, absolutely. And the Carter family, as Rusty and I was talking about, saved Jerry and Jeff Jarrett from going broke when they had uh, when they had House South as their backer and they went away, totally pulled out in the middle of the night, and Jeff found Dixie Carter, or Dixie found Jeff, or something like that, and it was just one of those things. It was an interesting things. Also, we lost this past weekend a legend in broadcasting, Bill Mercer from Dallas, Texas. Bill Mercer, of course, the voice of the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, the voice of world class championship wrestling, the voice of some of the great memories. He is also was the radio voice of the Dallas Cowboys, and famously, he did the radio call of the famous Ice Bowl against Green Bay in 1967. Thoughts, Pat Trammell, on the loss of legendary Bill Mercer?
You know, in retrospect, and obviously a lot of the country's first exposure to wrestling was Bill Mercer when World Class Championship went on ESPN. Highly underrated. Highly underrated. Very much an old school announcer calling the action. Not as big a personality as a lot of the wrestling announcers, but very enjoyed his work very much. And sorry to hear about his passing.
Yeah, Bill called it pretty much as a straight athletic event rather than a wrestling match.
He really did. He really did.
You know, the Carter family too is interesting. They were practically celebrities in the state of Texas. They're very well known. Bob and Janice Carter for being, Texas billionaires, basically a classic American success story. Everybody seemed to know at least of them.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is, and we wanted Pat's word on Bill Mercer. Pat, I'm glad we got to revisit that with you because we missed you at the beginning of the show, so we are repeating some of the content for you, Pat, for you.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Hey, we want to go back to 1989. This is the Master of Pain involved in a situation with Jerry Lawler. It's 8 minutes and 46 seconds long. Master of Pain ended up, his name was Mark Calloway, and he was maybe known by a few people as The Undertaker.
What happened to that guy?
I don't know. Wonder if he made something for himself.
One of those. We've got him in here today, Dave. Well, we sure do. And here he comes right now with Dutch Mantell, looks like in his corner. The Master of Pain, the big guy that...
In Texas, he started his career
I've seen all the
Texas
power.
Red.
David Johnson, he's going against David out of Memphis, Tennessee. Master of Pain, his last address, I think, was State Pen in Atlanta.
I'd forgotten Dutch was with him at first.
Well, he starts right out. He's on a chokehold, and the referee could disqualify him right there. He started to count, and he finally broke it. But David Johnson, about half the size of this giant.
Look how big he is. This is not the Undertaker, same person. But you see, Pat, this is so, Dutch is in the corner. This is in the first month of his career.
Well, David Johnson wasn't a little guy, was he?
Able to do much against this big
Yes, he pretty much was.
Ripped him with that right hand down across the head, picks him straight up, slams him down into the mat.
Sometimes he get
I watched him drop that
in
big
his head, he
leg.
wasn't going to sell and try to fight back. He
One,
didn't
two,
try
and I
that
guess
with
that's
the
it.
Undertaker or with the Master of Pain.
I mean to tell you, in not very long.
And
What was the
quick
time on
win.
that, David? 4 seconds.
You see that?
Hey.
Now,
that's
how
enough
old
of
was
that.
he at
Come
this
on, get
age?
him out of there.
What an awesome power of the Master of Pain.
He already won the match.
Hold that thought.
He doesn't have to start trying to hurt David
Now, you know who
Johnson.
I want out here right now? That big guy who bumps his gums all the time. Jerry
He
Lawler,
must
he's
have
got an
been
ounce of
26,
guts in his body.
25,
Let him
somewhere
climb in
around
the
there
ring
at that
here, and
point.
let's show him how awesome this Master of Pain is. Now, if he's the big champion, the unification title holder, and all that, let him get in the ring right now. And we're not leaving the ring till Lawler comes on.
Lawler has got a match coming.
Well, yeah, he was a
Your
huge
match
guy
is
for
over
that
there
time
with
and
him.
place.
Really athletic there.
He was born in
He got the win. Get
1965,
him out of
and this
there.
was
Let's get on.
You
1989.
can't make me get him out of there.
Well, I'm not going to
Well, I want
physically
there's
try
no
to.
law for me. There's no law for that man.
24?
Get Lawler out here.
24.
To the back.
And he had played
Finish,
college
Dave.
basketball, I believe, before he
Yes, I
Lawler
do.
has got a match coming up in there, and the Master of Pain just walking around.
He is currently
talking.
60
Who's Lawler
years
wrestling
old.
anyway?
He's
I
got
didn't
Keith
realize
Eric
Keith
in.
Eric, he ain't beat nobody. Let Lawler come out here and face some real competition. Tell him to come around here.
Dutch,
Come on, Lawler.
if you do everybody a favor and let us get on with the program and get out of there. Well, there he is. You go over and tell him your problem. Jerry Lawler has got a match coming up here with Keith Eric. And
Get in the ring, Lawler. Come on, you're the big champion. Get in the ring.
come on, he had a match already lined up.
Let me tell you something, Lawler. You're going to wrestle Keith Eric. Don't worry about Keith Eric. Get in the ring with my man, the Master of Pain. You got an ounce of guts in your body, which I doubt. Climb in there. You're the big champion. You're the big head cheeser. Come on out here. Look, he's leaving. He is leaving. He has showed his true color. Oh, he's coming back. He can't make up his mind what he wants to do.
Come on, Jerry. You don't have to let them bully you in a match
Dutch
like
Mantel was
this
a
right
good
away
announcer
with
as
this
well,
guy.
guys.
Lawler climbing in the ring, Dave. Boy, sure
No,
is.
Dutch was a great talker.
Okay.
I like listening to his
Calhoun says it's a
podcast
match,
he has
so
now.
Lawler's agreed to go against the Master of Pain.
Yeah, I do too.
He said earlier he'd had some trouble figuring the guy out. Let's see what happens here. Master of Pain.
Not much to figure out there. He just grabbed him by the throat and choked him.
Yeah, that's kind of what he started doing with David Johnson in his match. Just grab that throat and try to choke him. Look at this, the King up in the air, high in the air.
Pressed 234 pounds straight up over his head. Dumps Lawler down, and the Master of Pain drops with a leg.
Look at that champion laying water all around the ring like a big beach whale. Look at it.
This is no title match. Let me make that clear.
I'm trying to prove a point here to the fans here because they're a bunch of ignorant fans anyway. Look, that don't faze him. That don't faze the Master of Pain. He spent all that time in prison doing hard time. I mean hard time, and a lot of time in solitary confinement. This man has got a lot of mental strength in his body and a lot of physical strength too, and he's going to use it all against Lawler today. He's going to take the battle to him. Look, he's just going to look at him. Good.
Lawler teed off with that right hand of his, and he didn't phase him. Not that first time. And the Master of Pain stalking him across the ring. Now Jerry wheels him around in the corner, and again he tags him, shakes his head almost imperceptibly. And Lawler's got his hands full. There's no doubt about it. This guy absolutely takes a punch as good as anybody I believe I've ever seen. Now Jerry's trying to pick him up. He goes over 300 pounds. He snaps Lawler up almost with one arm and slams him down. Again.
He's not doing too good, is he, Mr. Russell?
He is off to a slow start, Dutch. No doubt about that.
He's off to a slow start.
I told him, Master of Pain, Lawler's not too smart, and you know, if you goad him a little bit, he'll take the challenge. He thinks he's got to prove something to the fans. The only thing he's going to prove to the fans today is that that title belt he's holding is soon going to be in possession of the Master of Pain, who in turn is going to turn around and give it to either me or Ricky Morton, because he's not going to hold it long. He can't do nothing. Come on, Payne.
Well, maybe you never stop and thought about the fact he's using this to find out a little bit more about where this guy's weakness is.
Well, has he found one yet? So it looks like it's all for naught, if you ask me.
So far, he hadn't found one, but it's not over with.
All for naught. See, what we're witnessing right here is the end of an era, the end of the Jerry Lawler era. And he said a lot of big guys took him on. Yeah, that's true. He beat a lot of guys. He beat who's who in professional wrestling.
Oh, Lawler is so good.
I
still think he was one of the best 3 or 4 workers ever in professional wrestling. He could do anything.
The mental attitude and the physical capabilities.
Absolutely.
You know, you think about it, he sold for 25 years and got over every time.
Just a pure meanness. Take this man. Look at that.
Ripping him to the midsection, lefts and right.
Take him down.
Taking Jerry right off his feet as the master of pain. He is a physical specimen, no doubt about that. And this guy, as opposed to, and I'm not knocking it, but I mean, as opposed to the bodybuilder look, he is just massive.
He's just huge and strong. Dutch has stepped into the ring there.
Ought to be a disqualification for him being in there. Dutch backs him up. What is this nonsense?
Come on, Jerry. That's a disqualification as Dutch gets in the ring.
Hey, disqualify him for Dutch getting in there, for crying out loud.
Didn't interfere. It doesn't have to. He just got in the ring. That's a disqualification.
Great Lance line, for crying out loud.
What is this? Mantell. Well, what is this, Dutch?
Come here, brother. Come here. I'm trying to prove a point here. I want you to look at this man right here, and I want you to look at that man right there, and tell me who the top man is. This man right here, Lawler. You're gone, pal, and he's laying. I tell you, we see him laying in the ring, left in the ring. I proved my point.
Yeah, you took it upon yourself to stop them. All right, just, hey, you've been out here long enough. Now, just get him out of here, Dutch. We don't need any trouble out here from him. You took it upon yourself to stop the match. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's. Well, man, you know what he did that for? He did that just to embarrass.
No, that was Randy.
Psychologically, just
was
to
it?
try
Yeah,
to
was that you?
By doing it. One, he didn't beat him, and so Dutch decided the best way in the world to try to embarrass the king out there was just to pull him out of the ring and say, well, we proved our point, we're going to let it stay at that.
But he did not get a victory over the king. That's important to point out, I think. However, the king not feeling too well right now.
Oh, boy, he took some shots in the midsection. Terrible. We're going to take time out. Be back in just a moment.
We'll start with you, Rusty, first. What did you think about the Master of Pain? Would you ever have believed, and was in it, first of all, I'm rambling, but in 89, were you still around Memphis, or were you gone?
No, I was in New Orleans then, so I didn't see these matches until later on, on tape. And you could have looked at him then, though, in 89, and you saw what a great body he had, but he was very green at that time. I mean, you might not have predicted how far he would go.
Yeah, it's just a tremendous, tremendous talent. One-sided match with Lawler, and that's the professional wrestling profession. That's how professional Jerry Lawler was. Top, baby. Do you see Dusty Rhodes doing that?
No, I've never seen Dusty do that. I've never seen Flair do that. I've never seen many people do that.
Nobody could sell like that.
No. It's absolutely unbelievable. Talking Memphis wrestling, here we go with some bad video as far as quality. My favorite TV show I ever produced in my life is probably the worst quality video, the actual video part of any of the library that we have. There's not a clean copy of this. This is a return of Lance Russell from March the 5th, 1994. And it's just poor video. It's great content because, again, my point is somebody goes away. And he was away for 5 years. And I think everybody will agree, even though Dave was great, Michael St. John was great, there was other great, but it was not the same with Lance Russell not on that TV show. Do both of you guys agree with that statement?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
The return of Lance Russell with bad video, but you get my point here. My favorite
It takes
show
you back, and
ever.
for 21 years, I worked with a man who, for 30 years, used to open the championship wrestling show. Here's how Lance Russell did it.
Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside, and by golly, we're ready to go with another big day. Championship wrestling action. We got plenty of wrestling scheduled today, Dave.
Hey, yes, we do. We got plenty of wrestling scheduled today. We also have something very special scheduled for you today. We promised you last week. Get ready, fans. Not only one of the greatest wrestling announcers of all time, probably the greatest in my mind, my friend, here's Lance Russell.
Now, what a pop that is.
Oh,
That's the baby face.
oh, Lance was beloved in Memphis.
Welcome to this program, Lance Russell.
Dennis,
How are you doing?
Marie,
I
appreciate
tell you,
it.
Dave,
Glad you
I am
enjoyed the
overwhelmed.
show.
It is such a delight to be back here. Absolutely.
It's a thrill for us to have you here. I know you worked in various other things, and now you're retired. You're doing a lot of fishing and all that?
A little golf and trying to get all those jobs caught up, those honeydew jobs, and it takes some time to do that. You bet.
Can we put you to work here today?
You better.
Come on back around. Come on around. Sit down. I tell you what. Hey, no. I want to put you belong over here. This is your chair. Let me give you this microphone.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and I'll be right here. And let's go. Let's see. What do we have coming up here? We've got a couple of things coming up. But I think we better do that famous thing like take a break first, all right?
Why don't we do that?
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with more Memphis Memories.
If you have a prize racehorse, a thoroughbred, a champion, and he breaks his leg, what do you do to him? What do you do to him, Lance? You shoot him, right?
Oh, with the big
that was so good.
Memory show right here. Eddie Marlin, it is so good
Boy,
to see
I'm
you, my
telling you,
friend.
it's good to see you, Dave. It really brings back memories. And you know, Lance, while I'm out of here, I travel all over the country to these smaller towns and all, and everybody says, what's the prices? You've got such a big night of wrestling in Memphis. I know the prices are going to be way up. This is Memphis Memories. This goes back in the 60s, 70s, 50s,
Yeah.
So in order to make this complete, our prices will be established on those that was in the Memories in about 1974. It wouldn't be at Memphis Memories if all of that Coliseum wasn't jam-packed up top like it always is, in the 70s and 80s.
Retired as a wrestler.
So
He came
Memphis
to teach
Memories
every
night, generally
Saturday and Memphis every Monday at that point.
Wow.
$3.
Hey, who said this guy didn't have a big heart?
$5 for the load, $6 for the ringside, and to make it complete, like I say, it needs to be full all the way to the top, where it not only see guys like this, see a lot of the old-time fans up there that used to come when Eddie Marlin was wrestling.
We hope they will.
Thank you
Hey,
very much.
Jimmy Hart used to talk about how tight Eddie Marlin is. I don't believe that holds
We're not
true
going to be
anymore.
tight that night. Memphis,
Okay,
Memphis,
Eddie.
Monday night.
Thank you for that very good news.
Boy, that's great. The prices we thought were a memory, too. The price rollback in the mid-70s level, that is spectacular, and that means everybody can come on down.
Everybody can join us right down there, and I think that would be a good thing if Eddie, as Eddie said, if we had it filled right.
Oh, I
to
bought
the
many
top,
a
'cause I remember
ringside
those
seat
good
for
old days.
$6.
Yeah. Okay, we
Absolutely.
are setting ready, Dave, to check and be sure. Oh, I know. Talking about, I mentioned him just a moment ago, Jimmy Hart. This guy probably gave us as much trouble as anybody. I have one very fond memory of it, flowers raining down and all. Jimmy Hart, the one thing I have never said bad about him, and that is about his music. He is quite a songwriter. And Jimmy, with his heart still in Memphis wrestling, off and running somewhere else, but he has written a song called Monday Memories, and I think anybody who has ever been touched by Memphis wrestling on Monday night will really appreciate it. We also want to thank Randy West, who did a fabulous job of putting together the video for
He
us.
always puts together great video for us. He's done a super job these last few weeks, along with Randy Hales.
And it is indeed a pleasure to introduce for the first...
We'll see that in just a minute. Just a funny story. So So back then, it changed in the Power Pro days, but our production room was a little small bathroom and a shower in it. You have to go to another door with the thing, but it was at that point it was Lance, Dave, and me, and I was running over the television. This is a little inside information, and so say first interview, just whoever, say Eddie Gilbert, I would get somebody, or I'd maybe open the door and say Eddie Gilbert, and you bring people in as you were doing the segments. So we had somebody in there, and Lance and Dave, and we were doing the production productions, looking at the format, and I go segment by segment by segment. Whatever segment I'd send for the talent, and the talent would come in, and I'd lay out whatever. So about in the middle of that, Lawler opens the door, and this wasn't always a good thing, and he didn't look mad or anything. He just opened the door, and he said, "Hey Randy, can you slip away?" He said, "It'll take about 30 seconds. I need to talk to you around the corner." So I said, "Okay." So I'll walk out, and we go down a little corner where we had privacy. He said, "Something, uh, something uh, just came uh, to me," and he said, "You might think I'm crazy," and he had not offered one idea for that March 7th, 1994 Monday Night Memory card that drew 9,000 people and did great money. I mean, it went from 1,200 people to 9,000 people. It was just amazing money. But Lawler hadn't suggested one single thing, didn't write one thing on the television, no input at all. Then he drops this bomb on me. He said, "You'll think I'm crazy." Then he said, "This is what I think we should do. Call the Coliseum and tell them you want to change general admission tickets to $3." And he said, "Have you go out there and you make that announcement." He said, "You be the baby face, so you're doing it in the memories, blah, blah, blah." He said, you might think I'm crazy." I said, "The only thing I think you're crazy about is I don't think I should do that." And he looked all sad. He said, "Well, I just wanted to pitch an idea." He was going to let me, he thought I was saying no. I was saying no to me doing it. I said, "I think it'd be more effect if Eddie does it." And he said, "Oh, that'd be greater." And so we had Eddie do it. So that's the behind the scenes story of the prices. Is that interesting to you, Pat?
That is interesting. That is interesting.
And how about to you, Rusty, on me kind of going inside a little bit about how we handled TV Day?
Oh yeah, and it was perfect for Eddie to do it because everybody knew Eddie from years and years ago. They didn't really know you that much at that point, so it's way better to have Eddie do it.
Uh, Absolutely, no doubt about it. In the video storage segment, we hadn't done this in a long time, and I'm sure Rusty's seen it, but he hadn't seen it while we've been on. Adam, if in the video, not the in the design area, but in the video storage deal, the Monday Night Memories, and listen carefully to the words of Jimmy Hart in this song he wrote, and Adam has not seen it. You know, there's a possibility that I might have. Oh no, there it is, and I'll play it right now. It's the very first.
Found a program stuck back
Listen
in my
to the
drawer.
words.
It was faded, it was torn. I couldn't wait till I looked inside. Some are gone, some are still alive. I watched them every Saturday on TV.
Yeah, I think
I couldn't wait till they
the one that was the most
climbed in the
old
ring.
Hogan.
Monday night memories are all I have to
Listen to the words. Beautiful song.
Jerry Lawler, he's the king. Austin Idol, watched them every Saturday on TV. I couldn't wait till they climbed in the ring. Monday night memories are all I have to remind me of you.
Plowboy Frazier.
Jackie Fargo said, "Put up your dukes." The girls thought
Yes, sir.
the fabulous ones were cute. Sputnik Monroe,
Don and Al Green.
the Gilberts and the Funks.
The Funks. I thought they were so mean.
I watched them every Saturday on TV. I couldn't wait.
Randy West put this together. The drawing by Jerry Lawler. Jackie Fargo, Al Green, versus Hair, 1972, the first sellout for Memphis Wrestling at the Mid-South Coliseum. Rusty.
Jerry Jarrett.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes.
Tojo.
When
He
he
was
died?
my favorite from that era.
Yes.
When we would
Marlon.
play wrestling in the backyard with kids in my neighborhood, I always wanted to be Tojo.
Lance Russell, they call Banana Nose. Dave Brown was his sidekick, everybody knows. Monday night memories are all I have to remind me of you. Monday night memories are all I have to remind me
All right, Monday Night Memories. Rusty, we will let you comment on that. Pat, we've beat it to death because it's one of my favorite things that I ever was involved with. What did you think about that song and video, Lance coming back, that whole situation? What's your thoughts on that?
You know, the song was so perfect for that situation and that era. Jimmy Hart was a legit songwriter, singer, musician, and he did a great job with it. You know, I was thinking, you know, we're kind of doing Monday Night Memories with this show tonight. I mean, it's the same thing, really. All we have is our memories of those days now. And, you know, it's, you think about it, that time and that place, that was such a unique experience that drew the entire city of Memphis together when very little else did. You know, there were so many racial problems in Memphis, but everybody could come together over wrestling. And it was
Amen.
just, you know, there was no race when a wrestling was on Saturday morning.
Just amen. Just absolutely great stuff. Before we get Pat's comments, a couple of things that I want to do. First of all, it's supposed to drop tonight if YouTube is correct. Let's put up Rusty's podcast graphic, and it is the Blues Doctor. It is fantastic. You'll be educated on Bigfoot, on the blues music, on a bunch of stuff, and also medical stuff that will lead you in, because we all have family that might have an issue, and certainly you will learn from this big time. So go to YouTube and subscribe and listen to the Blues Doctor, and certainly Rusty plugs Talking Memphis Wrestling on his show, and we appreciate it very, very much. No doubt about it. Rusty, just final, I appreciate you coming in and helping us out with no Chris, no Michael, and for half the show, no Pat. You did great. This is just extremely interesting stuff, and thank you for taking this journey with me tonight. And I can't wait for that podcast, man.
Well, I hope we'll see it, you know, later tonight. You know, this was very fun. I always enjoy doing this. I apologize. I was eating dinner during this show. We
I
had
was
just
dipping.
sat down to dinner.
As my kind of doctor, would you fuss him, give me a lecture? Because I am addicted to dipping snuff. Is that bad?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Oh, now my doctor friend is going to fuss at me for dipping, Pat. What do you think?
I got a longer list than that, so don't keep my mouth shut.
Doctor wise?
No, no,
Oh, yeah.
of unhealthy things.
Hey, one other thing I want to tell you. I wish we would have met. I'm trying to think. Probably 16, 17, 18, something like this. If we'd have been friends then, like we're friends now, I would have said, hey, cancel your surgery, get some substitute, get someone, get your ass to Bill Street, 159 Bill, because I booked the music talent at Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill for 3 years. Would you agree to leave your lucrative practice there in New Orleans, come back to your roots, come back and play on Bill Street? I'm going to ask you, have you ever played on Bill Street again? And would you have said yes to Randy Hills, the wrestling promoter, if I'd invited you to perform on Bill Street at Jerry Lawler's?
First question, yes, I have played once on Beale Street with a buddy of mine named Rob Toombs, who was a blues musician who I went to college with, and he's played many times. In fact, he's got one of the musical notes on Beale Street, the Beale Street Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I played once with him on Beale Street, so that was a lot of fun. And would I have come had you asked me? Absolutely. I would have gone back to Memphis, at the drop of a hat. So
Right.
no question about that.
That's that's fantastic. Rusty, stand by real quick and we'll say our byes together. Pat, you got here late. What did you think of the last hour? About maybe you've been here 15, maybe what? Maybe you.
Just about an hour, just about a solid hour. It's good to be with you, Doc, and I tell you, going through that with Lance and Michael and Burt Prentice, man, I'm more impressed by the minute. We missed an opportunity there, but Ahmad, glad you took some time off from the kids' futures to watch us knuckleheads. But I'm sure those girls are proud. But anyway, sorry I was late, and I enjoyed this show about as much as I have one in a long time. So thanks everybody for being here with us.
You're like me, and you're like the hyper wrestling announcer. We always say the best we ever do. Nick Gulas used to say, "Oh, Monday night, the biggest card I ever signed." And Pat Trammell, Michael, and I always say this best show we ever did. But we top it every week. We top it every week. Looking for your podcast and I will. I got a Memphis trip at 7:30 in the morning, and on the way home, I will listen to your podcast. Good Lord, willing, and you two don't screw up. Thanks so much for helping save me tonight.
Thank you, Randy. Anytime.
All right, I'll listen to you. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for being Pat. Final words from the original co-host of Power Pro Wrestling, Pat Trammell.
Just great to be with everybody tonight. Great show. Glad I could tag in for a few minutes, and just hope everybody has a great week.
For Adam Dunn, our producer, for Rusty Dr. Robinson, or Mr. Rusty Dr. William Robinson. He has more titles than I do. I'm Randy Hills. Good night, everybody, for talking Memphis wrestling. We got it here.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with